What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! Welcome to my summer movie wrap-up. I've seen close to 50 movies this year. Thank you, MoviePass. I have talked about almost all of the movies that I've gone out to see, and I've listed them, and I'm going through my top 10. I'm going to throw out some honorable mentions, and then also throw out a couple of the worst movies I've seen so far this year. So it's just the movies that have come out this year, give or take, mostly summer. And then I'll do another one at the end of the year for the complete full year, my top 10. So this list could change by the end of the year. You never know. So starting off number 10, it's a movie that gave me the feeling of John Wick. Felt like I was being told a story from the John Wick universe, being introduced the origin story of this new character, potentially. I don't know if the movie had anything to do with John Wick, but Hotel Artemis was my number 10 of my top 10 list. It's a hospital for criminals. So it feels very much in the John Wick. It has some awesome action scenes. John Batista's in it. My favorite wrestler turned actor. Aside from The Rock, I mean, nothing else should be said of The Rock, although I don't think he made my top 10 list with the 30 movies that he's come out with so far. But Hotel Artemis, check it out. I'm sure it's been out on VOD for some time now. But if you're a fan of John Wick, I would highly recommend it. You'll probably like it. The next one is a documentary. I think potentially the only documentary I have on the list. 3 Identical Strangers comes in at my number 9. This is a crazy documentary. Just the premise. Just watch the trailer, the premise, the starting off point for this documentary, where this kid is going to college for the first time, and everybody seems to know who he is. They're calling him by not his name, but they act like they know him. And he runs into a guy that realizes that he is a twin because he was adopted. And then come to find out that not only is he a twin, but there's 3 triplets that were all adopted. And the documentary starts there and scratches the surface. And once it scratches the surface, it goes down some darkness of some things that were happening back in the day that we're still going to have to wait for the real answers. But it's an amazing documentary. It is super interesting, super original. I enjoyed it. 3 Identical Strangers. Check it out if it is available wherever you get your movies. Number 8 is a horror movie, possibly the only horror movie. There's a couple, well-rated horror movies. For sure there's movies that I've forgotten. But A Quiet Place comes in at number 8 for me. It is a horror movie, suspense movie that did something amazing in a movie theater. It got everybody to be quiet because it is a very quiet film. Like, even people chewing popcorn chewed it quietly because they respected the movie. And it was an amazing thing. It was an amazing thing for somebody that goes to movies out here and everybody is talking, whether they're just a rich old person that's retired and doesn't give a fuck about humanity, talking throughout the whole thing, or if it's just some teenagers going to see a movie after school and they're talking shit. There's always seems to be people talking out here, and that was a movie that shut people up. And it was crazy. It was just a crazy premise. Interesting seeing the dude from The Office in more of a dramatic, intense role. Looking forward to his show on Amazon, the Clear and Present Danger show, whatever the fuck that character is. But A Quiet Place comes in at number 8. Number 7, American Animals is my number 7. It is really interesting, really originally. It's kind of like a documentary hybrid because it has interviews with people that the movie was based on. It's about these 4 kids, I think, 3 or 4 kids that conspire to steal a piece of artwork from their school in an effort to do something amazing, to get famous, so their art career could take off. And it's a super interesting movie. They have the actual people in the movie, kind of, but then they're also interviewed, and we see reenactments. It's basically a documentary with amazing acting for the reenactments. But it's a great movie. Go watch it. American Animals, number 7. Number 6, I watched last night. Didn't get to see it in theaters. Kind of heard some good things about it. It looked interesting. Upgrade, a movie where a guy gets shot and paralyzed due to the gunshot wound. And it's set in the future, science fiction movie. And they have, which is probably months away from having this capability, but they have this new implant that's going to allow him to full access of his body, and amazing things he's able to do now that he has this computer chip embedded in him. And action movie, amazing action scenes, so much fun. The camera movement's amazing. I'm going to do a whole episode on it later this week, but check it out. Upgrade. So it's just super entertaining. It's almost like Hardcore Henry, how original, like, first-person action kind of parkour kind of movie had feelings of that, and then just I loved it. Go check it out. Upgrade, number 6. It knocked off a movie, and I'll tell you what movie later. Number 5, Sorry to Bother You. I had talked about it. It's just a crazy, surreal comedy. Highly recommend. Tonally, there's some other movies that I think did a little bit better job. But it coming in my top 5, rounding out my top 5 is Sorry to Bother You. Highly recommend it. It's one of those obscure movies that just a lot. It's just going to be. It's so crazy. It's a crazy movie. Go watch it. Number 4, Mission Impossible Fallout. Just top to bottom, fun action movie. One of the best action franchises, best spy movie franchise. The second one was the worst one, and it's still entertaining. John Woo still knows how to make a fun action movie. But from 3 on have been amazing. So Mission Impossible Fallout comes in at number 4. Number 3, the movie Spike Lee did with the feelings of the Coen brothers, The Black Klansman, or just Black Klansman. Such a great movie. Reviewed it earlier. Probably my favorite Spike Lee movie by far. Such a great movie, coming in at number 3. Number 2 was number 1 for a while, but I knocked it down to number 2. Has so much heart. Gave me so much feels. It's such well-made movie by Bo Burnham. It's a directorial debut. Interested to see what else he does. But the movie's 8th Grade, coming in at number 2. Go watch it. It's great. It's about a girl in 8th grade, in the 90s. No, in current time, I think. Yes, current time. Number 1, so far my favorite movie of the year, Blind Spotting. It's a comedy. It's a drama. It's got tension. It's got everything. It's a director that knows exactly what to do in a film to make you feel a certain way, and he cranks it to different gradients and different tones throughout the movie. It's so good. I highly recommend everybody check it out when it comes out on VOD, but it's my number 1 movie of the year so far. This could change by the end of the year, but I doubt it. I don't know. I may readjust stuff. Who knows? Blind Spotting coming in at number 1 for the year. Some honorable mentions, of course, Black Panther, Avengers, Game Night was a lot of fun, Tag, Solo, Deadpool 2, Super Troopers 2. I wanted to go with original stuff that impacted me. And the worst movies, by far, Wrinkle in Time and Life of the Party. Hated those movies. Horrible. Wrinkle in Time, by far, the worst. Worst movie I've ever seen. And the movie that got knocked off by Upgrade was the Happy Time Murders. It was a lot of fun, but when I thought about it, couldn't keep it on the top 10. So that's it, everybody. Have a great week. Check out my website, inspireddisorder.com. Get exclusive behind-the-scenes making-of content, patreon.com/inspireddisorder. All links up top. Have a great day. Have a great week. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! What is up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode. In this episode, I'm just going to get personal with everybody. I'm just going to lay it all out there and, just let it hang, let it swing, just let myself in ways, emotionally maybe, not physically, not testically, maybe emotionally. I'm going to hang myself out there. There's no questions. I was supposed to be an AMA. Ask me anything, which you can always do. If you have questions about podcasting, I'm starting to do. Sundays are I'm doing a how-to on podcasting on the show. Movies, you want to recommend movies. You can always just influence the show by participating in some way. And because I'm always looking for a reason to do an episode about something else. Right? I can't do every episode about movies, even though I love movies. Not to say I'm getting rid of movies. I'm just saying movies may be more difficult for me to watch on a regular basis in theaters, which I prefer to at home because it gives me an excuse not to look at my phone. I put my phone on airplane mode. I'm in the movie. I'm enjoying it with a group of people from my neighborhood or neighborhoods, Some are very old people, some are very young. Both spectrums tend to talk a shitload, right? It doesn't matter. Just different types of people, It doesn't matter if you're wealthy or poor. Because if you're on either end of those spectrums, feel free to just use the theater as your own personal coffee room to just discuss whatever the fuck you want to discuss. So I might not be doing as many movies, and that's not why, because of the people. It's just Movie Pass is changing, and that's okay. That's okay. There's other things. I'm very busy. I finally, after leaving Denver, moving back here, the big project, the big focus of mine was the Inspired Disorder podcast, and it's it's almost like it's a 9-year, well, no, it was 8 years, an 8-year-long project. Evolved, changed, different hosts, different formats, ups, downs, everything in between. But in Denver, that was like the full-time thing. It was, pre-producing, making sure we had 2 episodes ready to go to record. We had segments within those episodes ready to do, make sure schedule recording time, do all the editing. So it used to be like long format, and then I would spend a lot of time chopping up the video afterward. And now that I've decided to just focus all my energy on Instagram as a social network and as just a platform to release the work that I do, starting off with the many faces, doing those daily, and then now doing this show daily on Instagram, are kind of two goals that I wanted to do. It's, set the bar high, give yourself more work than you think you should have. But it's all, I've always wanted to do the daily release because it's I don't know, I used to do long format. It used to be, 3-hour podcast, do a 3-hour like Joe Rogan. Do a 24-hour live podcast. It was always about the length. And I'm tired. I'm tired of constantly displaying the length that I can bestow upon you in podcast form. And I decided to go minimalist. Decided to go small. Instead of chopping up long format, I do short format, and then you could binge it over on Patreon. Link up top. And now that now that I know, because I was experimenting with Raylo's movies because I got Movie Pass and just like it's a thing to do out here. There's not a whole lot. I don't golf. I don't have money to go to a hotel and go to pool parties, EDM thing. I'm not into EDM. I don't give a fuck about Splash House. There's not a whole lot of things for me out here. I don't, I'm not I don't, do off-roading shit in the desert. I'm not a big hiker, although there's this time of year, it's super fucking hot. So movies. I love movies. So I tried doing that podcast, tried bringing back the Inspired Disorder podcast, but just nothing felt, everything felt like I knew I wanted to keep doing some kind of podcast, some kind of like show, other than just doing art. I like being able to do work in different forms, different formats, different mediums. So when I decided to just focus all my efforts on Instagram, since I had been doing pretty much Instagram was had been my focus for, a while, it just made the most sense. Put my Photoshop up there, and they've added features over the years. Stories, I've learned to kind of use all the different features and all that kind of stuff. It's like it's a social there's so many options now. It's not like when there was just MySpace, and then MySpace died, and then everybody kind of went to Facebook, and then Twitter. Those were like the kind of two types of things. And then Instagram came around, and now I don't know, it just makes I can't be on all of them. I haven't been on Facebook, and I don't know how long. I'm contemplating just getting rid of it altogether. I never use it. I don't care about it. It introduced me to a lot of hateful people. I mean, they're good people, but they have like their viewpoints on things are very selfish and very hateful, and it's just, I don't know. So it's like I gave up on Facebook. Twitter is just like a desert. It's just nothing. There's just no interaction on Twitter for me. So why even do that? So Instagram. Snapchat, whatever. That's not my thing. It's whatever. It's like Instagram's got those features if I want to ever do those things like stories. So since I got the focus, it's so easy now. So easy. And now that I have to fill 7 days of shows, I enjoy I've gotten back into scheduling everything and just getting ahead of everything. Now that I know what the focus is, I can kind of get ahead of things and just, figure something else to work on while I'm working on. It's like I enjoy working on all this shit. I enjoy doing artwork. I enjoy editing video. Aside from the amount of money coming in and how I'm making the money, which is far superior to the much higher amounts of money I was making before, working for the fucking people I was working before. Now the independence of it is great. The poverty is tough, but it's nothing I'm new to. So and I have amazing friends that are able to help support me. So I'm taking advantage of that in the best way possible. Working my ass off, trying to grow something in a lot of ways from scratch. But I enjoy it. It's a process that I've been through before, and I've felt what it's like when you get traction and people start noticing what you're doing, and it's just a matter of time, putting yourself out there, all of those things. So that's this episode, everybody. If you ever want to ask me a question, do it. I like doing these, either talk about personal stuff or answer questions, personal episodes. So look for those in my stories. If you like this show and you want to binge this show before it gets released on Instagram TV, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Sign up. Links are up top. There's a lot more benefits, but if you want to binge this show before it gets released, do it. Links are up top. Have a great day. Have a great week, everybody. Peace out.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom! What's up, everybody? This episode, I'm talking about a movie, Upgrade. I didn't get a chance to check it out when it was in theaters, so I made time now that it's out on VOD. I loved it. Go check it out. It is about a dude. It's in the future. It's a sci-fi, horror, whatever, action movie. Set in the future. Sci-fi, obviously. Dude who is a technophobe. Actually, let me just read the thing. Set in a near future world. No. I fucked that up.
Set in the near future, technology controls nearly all aspects of life. But when Gray, a self-identified technophobe, has his world turned upside down, his only hope for revenge is an experimental computer chip implant called STEM.
That was bad. I'm going to try and do that every movie review, and hopefully I'll get better at it. And So Gray gets shot, he gets this implant, and he's able to do new shit. It's almost like in Spider-Man where he gets new abilities from the suit, kind of like that, but it's more science fiction-y. And the fight scenes are amazing. It reminded me a lot of the originality, anyway, of these fight scenes reminded me of Hardcore Henry, where that's more of first-person action parkour kind of a movie, almost like the first-person video game style. Where this isn't first-person, but during the action movements, because the way his body moves is very much like, it's being controlled by a STEM, which only can control him when he gives up control. It's not like the thing has control the whole time, so it's like voice activated, which is interesting. It's an interesting kind of almost like an action Black Mirror, in a way. The end, I mean, you can kind of see the end coming in a way. There's a little twist at the end, which is fine, but it's mainly if you're looking to watch an interesting action movie set in the near future, potentially. That's how I would sell it on people. If you're looking for a fun action movie, acting is fine, the writing is fine. There's some stupid things that happen, of course. I mean, it is more of an action movie, so similar to comedies, maybe the story or the plot isn't necessarily the first thing, but it's a guy who's trying to seek revenge or get justice for his wife or girlfriend, his loved one that dies. But so the premise is fairly standard, but it's interesting. As far as the plot is very standard, but the kind of the overall premise of the movie, where it's he's dealing with this implant and also other things happen. But a lot of fun action movie. It was directed and written by Leigh Whannell, who has done, let's see here. Wow, just Insidious Chapter 3, which I haven't seen any of those. I might try and watch that franchise. Just, it's kind of weird that it's like a universe, I think, right? But yeah, so this is his second movie. Fucking can't wait to see what he does next. I'm sure it's going to do amazing on VOD because I don't think anybody watched it in theaters, but I think it's going to be like John Wick. How John Wick, it tanked in the theater, but everybody watched it on streaming and just fell in love with. That's where I saw it, and then watched it 5 times. And then when John Wick 2 came out, watching that in theater was a no-brainer. So Upgrade, highly recommend it if you're looking for a fun action movie with a cool premise and interesting shit. That's it, everybody. Go to my website, inspireddisorder.com. If you want behind-the-scenes making-of videos, discount codes, all kinds of extra bonus content, exclusive stuff for you, go to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. If you want to binge this show the full week before it gets released on IGTV, go to Patreon. That is available. That is one of the perks. All the links are up top. Have a great week, everybody. I'm stumbling over my words at the very end here. Let me just fall down before I hit the finish line. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great day. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a new episode. In this episode, I'm talking about some fights that are coming up. There were no fights. There are some. I am recording this early, so my picks, if people get injured or don't make weight, I'm recording this pretty early. But I'm making picks nonetheless. This weekend coming up, there are no fights. But the fights I am talking about, UFC 228, Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till for the welterweight title of the UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship. This is in Dallas, Texas, September 8th, Saturday. I'm going to talk about this card, make some picks on this card. It is a fun, stacked card. I mean, I guess not stacked, but there's definitely a lot of interesting fights from top to bottom. But starting off with the main event, Tyron Woodley versus Darren Till. Darren Till coming off a win against Wonder Boy. Decision, close decision. Some people thought he lost. I was fine with him winning. It's tough to look good against Wonder Boy, and it was a very not a very action-packed fight, I guess you could say. A lot of tense moments with both of them not really wanting to commit too much and trying to figure each other out. So we'll see what kind of fight. Tyron Woodley had similar fights with Wonder Boy, although I think had a little bit more success in the second fight or the first fight whenever he knocked him down. He actually hurt Wonder Boy a little bit more. But Darren Till's huge compared to Tyron Woodley. I would like Darren Till to win. I would just, for a lot of reasons, I am not a big fan of Tyron Woodley. I was on his rise to the belt, but once he got the belt, it instantaneously he was talking about legacy. He only wanted money fights. He, at no point, unlike Max Holloway, who when he won the belt, he's like, this is my belt. I am the king of this division. Come and get it. I'm defending this belt against anybody. He wasn't all about I'm going to try and be like Conor and expect that I deserve super money fights. If I just demand money, I get it. Despite how little money I bring into the company, I still deserve to be paid more. But it's just kind of there's a lot of fighters. There's a group of fighters that just whine about a lot of shit instead of just going out, performing, doing what you do amazingly, the thing that you do that you get paid for, and make it undeniable. Because that's why Conor gets paid what he gets paid, is because he makes it undeniable. But I got Darren Till in that. Just, I don't know. It's probably not. I mean, Woodley's been out for a while, so he might be rusty. Size difference. Till is young. Hopefully he makes weight. He didn't make weight in his last fight, and he is a big dude. But I'm hoping he doesn't get pulled because there's been fighters that have gotten pulled from not being able to cut weight well. Then the co-main event is the women's flyweight championship. Nico Montano from the Ultimate Fighter, the tournament that they had to anoint the flyweight champion. Nico is finally coming back to defend her belt. It hasn't been that long, but it's probably getting close to a year, maybe. I don't even think it's been that long. But she's fighting against Valentina Shevchenko. A lot of people are saying Shevchenko is a lock to win this fight. She definitely has a lot more experience. And Montano is just, it's going to be interesting. I have a feeling if I'm putting money on it, I'm putting money on Shevchenko. But I would love it if Montano wins this. I would love it so much. Because if she wins it, it's going to be a gritty fight. She's going to have heart, and she's just gonna find a way to win. And those are fighters that I enjoy watching. Those are fights I enjoy watching. Somebody with heart that grits it out, like Dirty Sanchez. Reminds me of like Forrest Griffin in a lot of ways. Just kind of the way he fights, cardio. Although he didn't have cardio in the fight before last, but Nico Montano would be a great one to win. Valentina, I think, is going to win. Zabit Magomed Sharipov versus Brandon Davis. I'm going to go with Sharipov. Magomed Sharipov. Dagestanis are destroying it, and I think he's going to follow suit, and he's looked great. We got Jessica Andrade versus Karolina Kovalkiewicz. Two great fighters in the strawweight division, two amazing female fighters to watch, so that's going to be probably fight of the night, I would imagine, unless Nico can pull out a victory. Nico Price versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan. These guys are both. Al Hassan is a knockout. He's knocked out everybody, undefeated. But Nico Price is been on. He's been getting some fun wins. So I'm gonna go with Al Hassan. I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win that, but I'll go with Al Hassan on that. Then you got just some fun fights. So that's the main card for the pay-per-view, which is top to bottom is gonna be an exciting card. If any fight's gonna be boring, I would predict the main event potentially. Maybe not boring, but just more tactically stressful. Some of the prelim fights that look interesting. Carla Esparza, who lost to a close. I thought she won her last fight. I at first wasn't a fan of hers, but her striking's improved. She's already had great grappling. She's fighting Tatiana Suarez, who's I think undefeated or just an up and coming. She has a ton more experience, so I go with Esparza in that one. Aljamain Sterling versus Cody Stamann. Sterling looked good, kind of young, up-and-comer, had some troubles, but I think he'll do well. Jimmy Rivera coming back from his knockout against Moraes, fighting John Dodson, who's been out for a little bit. Dodson's had a lot of tough decisions. Some go his way, some not go his way. A lot of close fights. This is a crazy matchup. But, man, Jimmy Rivera, I think, is undefeated up until his last fight. He just got knocked out. Does seem like he's coming off soon. I'm going to go with Dotson on this one. I think just experience, maybe. He might have experience on him, but I think it's going to be fresher. And that's a bantamweight, so Dotson's smaller. We'll see. And then the prelim, Diego Sanchez fighting Craig White. Jim Miller fighting Alex White. Well, it's the White brothers versus some, I don't know if they're brothers, but some legends, Jim Miller and Diego Sanchez, kind of on the back end of their career. So that's it. There's some other fights, but I'm looking forward to the fights. Hope they're good. I'll come back next week with a recap of the fights and picks for next week's. There are some EBI that happened, but I'm clearly not talking about that. I don't know when that's happening this weekend, but that's it, everybody. If you want to check out all my artwork, all the podcasts I've done, Photoshops, everything, blah, 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 inspireddisorder.com. Links are up top. If you want to binge this show the full week, all 7 episodes before they get released on IGTV, go over and become a member at patreon.com/inspireddisorder. There's a bunch of other benefits and other content you get as well, but if you're a fan of this show, you can binge the week in advance before they get released on a daily basis over on IGTV. Have a great week, everybody. Have a great day. Links are all up top. That's it, everybody. Peace out.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Boom. What is up, everybody? I went and saw, I didn't actually go anywhere. I stayed right at home, and I watched dark comedy. Haven't seen one in a while. Arizona. Not Raising Arizona, just Arizona. It just came out this year, 2018. More of an independent comedy starring Danny McBride, Elizabeth Gillis, Caitlin Olsen, Luke Wilson's in it. It's basically it's about Elizabeth Gillis's character is a real estate agent out in Arizona. This takes place in. Oh, let me just read the thing. It's a movie, of course. Let me just read the synopsis here. Set in the midst of the 2009 housing crisis, this darkly comedic story follows Casey Fowler, a single mom and struggling realtor whose life goes off the rails when she witnesses a murder. I stumbled on the first, but I did a lot better, I think, in that one. Yeah, so it's 2009, housing crisis, Arizona, happened all over the place. And you know, so it's not a lot of people living in these housing developments out in Arizona. Reminded me a lot of where I'm living now, out in Palm Springs, Coachella Valley area, where there's a lot of gated communities, where there's guard gates. Like every gated community that they showed reminded me of a different gated community. Although there's a lot more green in the valley, just because it's more of a resort and a vacation destination for wealthy people. So there's a lot of greenery around some of these entrances here versus there. It's very just desert. And so it's not a thriving market at this point, and especially in a desert community where I remember back in 2008, I bought my condo back in 2008, right when the market crashed, right after it crashed, and or while it was still going down a little bit. But I remember before that, like everybody's buying properties everywhere. Like, and I remember people going out to not Arizona, but also Vegas was huge. Tons of people were going out to buy property out in Vegas, and I'm sure the same thing happened there. Same thing happened out here, I'm sure. There's a lot of developments. Most people don't even live out here. Most houses out in the valley are empty this time of year during the summer. So it's always weird when you watch a movie that reminds you of where you're living or where you grew up. Tremors was very similar because of the desert theme also. It reminded me very much of like the high desert, like Yucca Valley. But yeah, this movie, Arizona. So she's a real estate agent, and Danny McBride is the bad guy in this movie. He basically, it's one of those movies where a character, almost like Meet the Fockers, where everything goes bad for Ben Stiller in this day. Like everything goes bad. So it's, as far as Danny McBride's character, everything is going extremely bad for his character. He doesn't do anything necessarily to help his situation out. And you know, it works. I don't know. I enjoyed it. This thing is rated horribly on Rotten Tomatoes. I didn't see it come in theaters. Apparently, it was, a movie that was released at Sundance. It's definitely a violent movie, but it's a dark comedy. So if you think of like Very Bad Things, I don't know, it's definitely similar but different to Very Bad Things. Very different than Very Bad Things. But I enjoyed it, especially like I've been listening to a lot of Sword and Scale, this true crimes podcast, and it's like how this movie starts where things kind of go bad, and then like the person it's happening to that is causing these bad things, and just like by bad decisions and then really bad things happening, and then continuing to like push that snowball down the hill. It's like there's actual crimes that happen in real life with people that like Danny McBride's character is not far from. So the beginning of this movie is like, oh my God, like this could be easily based mildly on a true story of some sort. But it's a fun movie that I didn't, just looking around for movies to review for the week because there's not a whole lot in theaters. Searching's coming out, which I'm looking forward to that. But so I found this one, and it looked like an interesting cast, and especially for a movie that I hadn't never heard of. So if you're looking for something interesting, you can rent it on iTunes. I'm sure Amazon, all the places where you rent movies digitally, might be at Redbox. I don't know if it's going to hit a streaming service like Amazon or Netflix, but if you find it out there, if you're looking to rent it, Arizona, if you're looking for a dark comedy and you're looking for, they don't come out very often, and a pretty fun one, I think. I enjoyed it. It's not a great movie, but I enjoyed the dark comedy of it. Like, if you want to go on a fun dark comedy ride, you can't really go wrong with this. Danny McBride, I think it's right in his wheelhouse. Yeah, go watch it. Arizona. That's it, everybody. If you want to go to my website, check out all my artwork, see all the things that I do, inspireddisorder.com. Links are up top. If you like this show and you want to binge the whole week before it gets released on Instagram TV, new episodes released every day. But if you want to binge watch the entire week before it gets released, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Become a member. There's a lot of other benefits you get, making of videos you can watch, behind the scenes, all kinds of shit. Patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Links are up top. As always, I'm out of here, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace out!
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? We're getting healthy, hopefully. This episode, I want to talk about intermittent fasting. There's a few. I'd like to try and get healthy, start getting healthier. And since I'm doing this show every day, I'd like to maybe start sharing some of the things that I'm doing to start getting healthier. And one of the things that I'm doing, in addition to meditation, which I've talked about before in a past episode, is intermittent fasting, which is something that I've heard about. Tim Ferriss has talked about it, had a lot of guests on that have discussed the benefits, the scientific benefits of fasting. Recently talked about it on his podcast, Tim Ferriss, with Kevin Rose on a recent episode. 'Cause Kevin Rose has an app called Zero, which I'll play a little clip of so you can get a look and see how easy the app is. But Zero, it's just a fasting tracker. So all you do is hit a start button when you start fasting, and then hit a stop button when you stop fasting, and it gives you a little bit of information on the science behind it, the different kinds of fasting, whether you're doing type of fasting where it syncs up with the sun, the circadian rhythm, to kind of give yourself more of a natural sleeping pattern. That's like a 13-hour fast. Then the one I'm doing is more of a 16-hour, although I tend to go a lot higher than that on certain days. I'll go probably closer to like 20 hours. But what I've noticed, I've been tracking my eating habits and staying within the app. I think only one day I was like a half hour away or an hour away from getting there. But I've been staying consistently doing this for a couple weeks now, and I've noticed I haven't been drinking either, so that helps because just as far as getting the quote-unquote munchies, I don't necessarily get the munchies when I smoke weed. I've been smoking a shitload of weed, but I haven't been drinking for the past couple weeks either. One, saving money. Money is just extra tight this time of year, and I mean more than in general, more than usual. It's super tight, so saving some money. Also, wanting to get a lot of things done this month, trying to just triple up on the work that I'm doing this month, since other things aren't really being profitable. So taking advantage of that to do just be more productive. So, I'm not recovering the next day. I'm able to use more of the day and get a lot more done. But as far as the fasting is concerned, I feel amazing. I don't know if I've lost weight. I don't have a scale. I didn't weigh myself before. I'm weighing myself now. I mean, I know from drinking, I've definitely lost a lot of the puffiness in my face, I think. Also shaved my head and trimmed my beard, so I cleaned up a little bit. But I feel like I've lost weight. I definitely, like, during the day. At first, the first week it was tough because I'd get the hunger pains and my stomach would growl. But then by the second week, I was pretty used to it. Like, I was fine during the day. Like, I'd be out uh, driving or out doing stuff, and just having no appetite really at all until I get home. And then, I only have one meal, and I just think about what that meal is going to be for the day. That's kind of my mental meditation while I'm, doing some mediocre labor kind of stuff. And and then I could focus on that meal, have a better meal than maybe I might not have. So if I'm able to try and eat better, I'm trying to slowly, I'm going to try and, once I get just the rhythm of getting used to just having the one meal and doing the intermittent fasting, then I'm going to start adjusting my diet to eat better and better food. I think for the most part I do, cutting things out specifically, like processed stuff and everything, eating fresher. But I'm going to start doing that more, and that'll be the next thing I'll probably do. I've done the keto before in the past when it was called Atkins. That was very well, but I don't know if I want to do any specific quote unquote diet. I just want to eat healthier. Just eat more vegetables and meat, just basic stuff. And just have a good meal at the end of the night. Probably start using a barbecue more, just to grill up the food. I love food off of a flame. But right now it's the fasting, and using this app, it helps. There's reminders to when your fast is up, when you can start eating, and then you can set reminders for when you'd like to start fasting. So that it is weird, because I will usually start fasting anywhere around 10 p.m. to 12 p.m., which is kind of around when I go to sleep. I'm a night eater, so I have no problem. Like, this lifestyle in my 20s was just called being poor and not being able to afford food, where you just eat one meal per day. And I got used to it then, and I'm used to it now. There's other things like a 5-day water fast that I want to do. I want to try and do coming up here at some point. There's a thing where if you do it the first week of every month for 3 months, you can have like drastic health improvements. Of course, go to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I've just heard other people talk about these things on like Joe Rogan's podcast, Tim Ferriss, all this other kind of shit. And it's interesting. And if it's something that easily fits in my lifestyle, because I've done it anyway on my own. And now that I have more of a strict kind of guidelines to stick to, it definitely helps. I do drink coffee during the day, which I don't think you're supposed. I think you're just supposed to drink water during this fasting, but I do drink coffee sometimes. Some days I don't. Some days I'll just drink water. But yeah, I don't eat anything until the fast, and then if I start at like 10 or 12, then that goes to like 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock the next day, which I'm actually totally fine with, because I'm gonna eat dinner later than that, and I can hold out till then. So it works for me. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it works for me. And if you want an iOS app, I don't know if it's on Android, but the app is called Zero on iOS that I use. And I'm sure there's other versions of it out there. It's a pretty basic app. But yeah, check it out if you're looking to try something. And there's a lot of health benefits. I don't want to go into all of them because I don't know them specifically. But there's things I personally like it because I'm not digesting food throughout the day. So I definitely feel like after I take my morning shit, like I feel empty and it feels fine. I don't feel like empty and hungry. I just feel like I'm not full of shit throughout the day. So it's just I just have way more comfort in my day in a weird way. It's just a more comfortable way of existing to not have food in you. throughout the day for some reason. I don't know. There's science. It breaks it down on the app too. So if you want to go into that, I'm not going to go there. But check it out. Get healthy. Start small. Start easy. I don't know. Whatever works for you. I'm just kind of throwing out what works for me so far. And I'd like to also start working out, kettlebells specifically, and yoga. But that's it, everybody. If you want to go to my website, inspireddisorder.com, links are up top. If you like this show and you want to binge the full week before it gets released on IGTV, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder. You get to binge the full week of episodes. You also get a bunch of other stuff, making of videos, coupon codes, all kinds of stuff. Patreon.com/inspireddisorder. Links are up top. That's it, everybody. I'm out of here. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace out.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the new portion of the how-to podcast segment that I'm doing on the Ray Taylor Show. In this episode, I'm going to talk about basic setups to record, basic recording options that you can consider for your podcasting needs. Starting off with just your basic computer, either PC or a Mac. Plugging in a USB microphone, like the Blue Snowball mic. Podcasters have used that. This setup would be good for a podcast if you're doing a solo podcast and you just need one mic. I've seen people that have two hosts sharing the microphone. And then if you wanted to do a podcast where you had guests call in through like Skype, you could use that microphone for that as well. You will need some additional software for that setup. But that would be one of the options. One of the basic podcasting setup options would be to use a standard just USB microphone. Blue makes a few different ones. The Snowball microphone is on the more affordable side, $25-$50, depending on where you buy it. So that would be one of your options. And an example of a podcaster that has this kind of a setup is Cassius Morris, formerly That Reporter Kid. He's been podcasting since he was 12, which is like literally almost 10 years ago. I've seen him grow up, and it's a crazy fucking thing. But check out his show. He also does YouTube video component to his show, but he uses just a USB mic. I believe it's just a standard USB mic into a computer, which you can record straight into your software. If you're getting Skype calls, you need some different software, but if you're just recording it, either one person into the mic or two people sharing the mic, you can just record it into GarageBand or Audacity, depending on if you have Mac or Windows. Audacity's free editing, audio editing software, which a lot of people use for podcasting. The second option would be using your phone. This is not an option I would necessarily recommend. There's an application called Anchor, which I've never used, but I've heard of, that allows you to podcast straight from your phone. Audio quality is not going to be the greatest. There are some iPhone or phone microphones, external microphones that you can plug in. They're not going to be the greatest to my knowledge. I don't think they make any that are going to be the greatest audio quality. I'm sure you could use your Bluetooth headphones or plugged-in headphones with a built-in mic. Generally, your audio quality is not going to be that great, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend using your phone. It is a convenient thing, and you can do some things on your phone, like you can edit. If you have an iPhone, you can get GarageBand and edit your podcast on your phone if you wanted to, but then uploading it to your host might be a different thing. But your phone is an option. There is a podcaster that, if you have great content, that can overpower your poor production quality. But Mish the Dish on Twitter had a podcast called Ramble On, which she talked into her phone, but she was so entertaining and such an amazing accent, being from Revere, Massachusetts, just super thick accent, great personality, just a lot of things that overpowered the fact that it was a low-quality audio recording for her podcast. So if you have great content, you can get away with it But I really wouldn't recommend it. I haven't checked out Anchor to know if it costs money or anything like that, or how well it works. But the phone is an option, but it's just not an option I would necessarily recommend, because you are still going to need, I believe, a computer, unless Anchor allows you to podcast. They have like a service that you upload it to their service. So the phone is an option, but I wouldn't recommend it. And then the more professional option, which is what I'm using currently. Most podcasts will use this. If not their primary, their secondary as a backup recording, which I always recommend having a backup if you can. I'm not using a backup. I haven't done a backup in a while. Had backups recordings in a while, but the H4n is more professional audio recorder. It has a lot of features that you can adjust depending on where you're recording, outside, inside, as far as levels, adjusting levels. You can hook up actual microphones with XLR cables. You can get professional microphones, like from the $300 Shure microphones that Joe Rogan uses or Joey Diaz uses, to the $100 microphones that I'm using, the Shure. I don't know. It's one of the Shure models, SM52 or something like that. So research depending on what kind of environment you're going to be recording to decide what microphone. Check out YouTube videos. There are going to be videos that will demo the mic so you can hear the different sound qualities. And I would recommend, if you are looking to go this route, you can usually find either the Zoom H4n or the Zoom H6, which gives you, instead of just two XLR inputs like this, the H4n has, the 6 has 4 inputs, so up to 4 mics, and independent level control for each of those mics, which this one does not have that level control. But if you do get this, you can always expand it up to 4 mics with a splitter. It's just you're going to lose a little quality. It's not going to be as good, but you could still get away with doing that with this. You could hook it up to a sound board if you want to use a big mixer and hook up instruments and all kinds of other things. So this is very adaptable to different things. It records in MP3, wave formats, different bit rates. Eventually, I'll get into all that detail, but this is a very good piece of equipment if you're looking to go portable. You can put batteries in it, or you can plug it into an AC adapter. You get legitimate microphones, high quality recording, and you're going to have to edit your audio anyway, so this allows you to go with your SD card straight into your computer. And I enjoy it a lot. If you're looking for a podcast that uses the H4n setup specifically, check out Ari Shafir's Skeptic Tank. It's hosted by Ari Shafir, stand-up comedian. He interviews one guest usually at a time, and he uses an H4n. There's no video component to his show, so it's only podcasting, standard Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Laughable. He's on the Laughable app. So the H4n is kind of it's going to give you more options if you want to evolve your show. Like if you want to start out simple and then maybe grow it into offering more services, or allowing for more people or more microphones, more inputs to be in it. This is a good one to go with, as opposed to recording directly into your computer, which would be the second. It's the best low-cost one is a microphone directly into your computer, depending on what kind of show you're doing. So you have to those are the 3 most basic setups for just recording audio for your podcast. And then once you record your audio, you're going to need to edit your audio. And I have Macs, so I use GarageBand. I've always used GarageBand. It's changed over the years, but I have still used it. To this day, I love it. Edit on that, or you can use Audacity, which is a free editing software. But those are the 2 applications I would recommend for your computer, whether it's PC or Windows. The Audacity one, I've used it a few times. It's pretty good. But there's a lot of support for Audacity out there as well, so it's going to allow you to do a lot of things. I'll get into the details of editing, file formats, and hosts get into that in another episode. But that's it for this episode of How to Podcast. Go to inspireddisorder.com. Check out all the podcasts I've done in the past, as well as my artwork. If you like this show and you want to binge the full week before it gets released on IGTV every day, go over to patreon.com/inspireddisorder, donate, and binge the full week, as well as a bunch of other benefits when you become a member. That's it, everybody. All the links are up top. My name is Ray Taylor. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace out.